It is so gratifying when you can volunteer for a cause that you believe in. Helping people who are less fortunate than you is a great way to give back and can be such a fulfilling experience. Designed with flexibility and customized attention with volunteer options in African orphanages, teaching English, medical and dental volunteering, HIV awareness projects, conservation in national parks, animal welfare, make a lasting impact that changes lives and provides you one of the most rewarding experiences of your life. Volunteering abroad. Visit abroaderview.org.
What comes to your mind when I say the word volunteering? So you probably have an image of altruistic activities or services provided for certain communities for no financial gain. And that's more than true. But the thing is that every coin has two sides, and so does volunteering.
Volunteer tourism, sometimes called voluntourism, is now a multi-billion-dollar industry, with millions of people volunteering while on vacation every year.
A Peru trip during the summer. So Bailey and I went to Peru where we did some service there. We volunteered at a preschool and we also helped build a middle school and a high school. And we met tons of good people. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
I get emails from teachers all the time that say, we'd like our students to have a volunteer experience for 1 or 2 days, not on a project that's already started. We want them to have to, from start to finish, so they can get a sense of accomplishment.
Voluntourism trips are largely designed to benefit the visitor rather than the host communities, making a spectacle out of poverty and reinforcing outdated stereotypes about developing countries.
Honestly, I was not truly interested in African region itself. I did not know much about its history, economy, politics, or culture. To be honest, there were so many stereotypes in my head, and the image of poverty, dirt, privatism.
When you come to Africa and you don't go to normal places, like say for example, when you go to America, the first thing that you do is you go to say New York, and you go to, I don't know, all the nice places in New York, you go and see the Statue of Liberty, you go to all those nice places. But why is it that when you come to Africa, the first thing that you do is you go straight to an orphanage? I'm sure there are orphanages in America, there are orphanages in France, there's orphanages everywhere. But why is it that when you come to Africa, you have to show the worst of Africa and not a balance?
We're fueling a system of sympathy tourism. Sympathy, by definition, means pitying someone else. We don't need to be teaching our kids sympathy, but empathy. We're losing some people because they go abroad and they get a chance to be a hero, but they never engage with the complexity of aid. So they go home with pictures and they show that they've done their part. We're fueling a guilt offsetting program. You can live however you like all year, as long as every now and then you go volunteer in an orphanage and offset the rest.
Aspen, where are we?
A trampoline.
What's it called?
I don't know.
Morai.
This is a what I packed for my mission trip. I am going on a mission trip tomorrow. This is from Victoria's Secret Lululemon backpack, mini muffins for breakfast in case I don't want to eat their breakfast. The CoverGirl BB Cream Tarte foundation brush, blush, Corliss and Benefit blush, Tarte Amazonian Clay bronzer and Park Ave Princess, contour brush, blush brush, Laura Mercier pressed powder, little powder brush, Maybelline Age Rewind concealer, Maybelline Line Stiletto eyeliner, my CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume waterproof mascara, the Naked 2 Basic little makeup brushes, the Speed Brow by Benefit Revlon Color Burst Balm Stain eyeshadow primer. I cannot put eyeshadow on without a primer. We'll probably need these for any mission trip where it's going to be hot and gross. I am bringing my GoPro, so I'm going to be vlogging the entire trip. I'm going to try and get as much of it on video as I can.
Yeah, and look at it. It looks so good. This is the floor that I'm standing on. We built this.
Their gratitude to us in Musana was incredible. The amount of immense change they've already seen has given them hope and excitement. Our company is all about empowering those in need, about giving opportunity to those who may not be able to give it to themselves.
there are some organizations that are driven by profit, and some of them do accept volunteers without any skills that are relevant when coping with children, with people with disabilities or special needs. So we started asking ourselves, what was the point of accepting this many volunteers if there's not so many things that we can do? So it soon became clear that it's all because of the funds the organization was receiving from the Western world, but we did not see any significant changes after the organization got paid loads of money.
The thing is, we didn't know much about the environment, didn't know much about health, and definitely knew nothing about Cambodian education. Yet we got pats on our back and we had funds in our pocket and we were off to save the world.
And even if you think, well, I'm gonna go build houses, or I'm gonna paint, or I'm gonna hang out with orphans, whatever you think you're gonna do, trust me, there are people in that country who could do that job better than you and for much cheaper than the price of your plane ticket.
An 18-year-old student, I did not have any pedagogical skills, I did not have any knowledge about how the education system was working in Ghana, but still, I was allowed to teach on my first day of school. We lack knowledge, and we lack respect. And it's like a never-ending cycle that produces all these kind of volunteering organizations and volunteering projects that just do not function as they should.
Cambodia was the first time that I stuck around long enough to peek behind the curtain after the few days or few months when a volunteer drops in, and I didn't like what I saw.
So they spent the whole day building the house how they wanted to build the house. Then they left the site, obviously never to return again, never to contribute anything else to that village. And then the local Malawians had to take down all their work and rebuild it. This is so common and it's so annoying. People, please stop doing this. If you think you're gonna show up to a brand new country and run the show, just stay at home. You probably do know what you're doing at home. You don't know what you're doing in a third world context. You have no clue.
I realized that giving things away like shoes or water filters could sometimes destroy local markets, and that buying things from kids who are selling stuff on the street could sometimes keep them there. A Cambodian friend came up to me later and said, you know, you foreigners, you really like to put your name on buildings, don't you? And he was right. Here's an empty building with my name on it next to an empty health center with some Belgian guy's name on it.
A lot of these mission trips cost thousands of dollars. I mean, these kids have to raise a lot of money, hundreds, maybe $1,000 to go overseas, and they're raising that money. Here's a better idea. Take that money that you fundraise and then put it in an envelope and send it to a group that is already working there long term. Because those people need things that cost some money. They need those wells to get water, they need supplies and food, and they need people who are gonna stay there for the long haul. They really don't need you going there for 1 week so you can get some photos and share them on Facebook.
All right, first things first, I'm gonna need everyone to wear this awful neon colored t-shirt everywhere we go, because what's the point of serving in a third world country if people in America don't know we're doing it? Day 3 is a Sunday, we're gonna go to church, all right? This is a super amazing church we're going to, but we're not gonna understand anything because it's gonna be in a different language.
Tom, so we're going to a full Spanish-speaking church.
Yeah.
Do you know Spanish?
Words?
Day 4, you guys, is when we really get down to business. We're gonna paint a school. Are there skilled painters in that country that could probably do a better job than us? Yes, there are. Does this country have high unemployment and they could probably use the work? Again, also true. Was this school painted last week by the mission team that came before us? Again, yes. But that's not important, okay? We're gonna paint the school and we're gonna get some photos to send back to the church. Listen, guys, I understand things are gonna be difficult. We're gonna get tired, but we must never waver from our goal to get photos with minority children for our Facebook profile.
Today we are in the village of Amaru, and we're about to do some service and play with the kids.
On many volunteer websites, you'll see photos and videos of foreigners with happy kids hanging off their backs and shoulders, accompanied by testimonials about how much the local children enjoyed and appreciated the visit.
When I don't know, posh kids on their gap year, they come to Africa, they go and they take all those selfies with an orphanage. You know, they're not trophies. These are real people with feelings.
Certainly there are orphanages that have been set up purely for the purposes of economic gain for the orphanage directors, and these are cases where we're seeing children trafficked into these orphanages, mistreated, deliberately kept in poor conditions to elicit higher donations from tourists and volunteers.
The tourism market is part of a system the volunteer tourism market is part of a system that is fueling the separation of kids and their parents, and that's not something that I signed up for.
Look, there really is no place for short-term unskilled volunteers to be visiting orphanages. These children have very complex and traumatic histories, and they need specialised support and care, preferably in a family-based environment. And having these volunteers come through actually causes more harm than good. So yes, we're saying don't go.
Studies by child psychologists in South Africa of orphan children exposed to a revolving door of foreigners might be hyper-affectionate because they are constantly forming bonds with outsiders who, inevitably, abandon them.
This repeated cycle of connection and abandonment really contributes to a really low self-esteem for these children and ongoing problems.
We have to examine the consequences for the people we strive to help before we engage ourselves in the voluntary services, because it often could turn out that we are solving only our own consciousness.
Impoverished communities around the world won't be saved by our volunteer labor and good intentions. Quite the opposite. What they want, need, and deserve more than anything else are the tools, resources, and opportunities to learn and to do that work themselves. If you really want to make a difference, think about donating some of what you might have spent on a give back vacation and put that money into the hands of those who could really use it.
We have to be willing to change ourselves. We have to get to know customs and environment and history, and we have to devote more time than only a few weeks in order to make a positive contribution and positive impact to the wider world. And of course, we also have to ask ourselves, what kind of transferable skills do we have to offer?
It takes a little bit to get acclimated to the territory and to learn about the people you're trying to help. And so when you have these like 1 week mission trips, I have to ask, like, have you really helped them? Or was this for them or was this for you?
So this is it for our trip here in Peru. We've had a blast. We've made so many amazing connections.
Come get in! I'm crying!
It's very sad moment. It's over.